So, what is up, guys? Today we are actually going to be watching a new video by Cryptonic. It was made a year ago. It has under 100 views, 99 views. As you guys can see right here, there is 99 views, and it was made a year ago, and in this video it is called Stop Calling Me a Ludwig Clone, period. So, this is going to be the video that we are going to watch. Here we go. Guys, I think there was a problem with the mic last time, but it has been resolved. So we're gonna start it from the beginning here. It's going to be awesome, and get ready for this. Okay, here we go.
So I've gotten some messages in my chat recently.
So apparently this guy is a streamer. Without this knowledge, there was no way we could have been able to know this. It's a good thing that I actually have extensive research on this channel, so I'm actually able to know that this guy is a streamer. So what he refers to as chat is whenever he streams, there is a chat that you can actually look at, and it's people typing, and they're reacting to something that's happening live, and they're telling him that they're what they see. Basically, that's what a chat is. So what he means by that is that he's saying that his chat, who watches his streams, is basically telling him that he is well, we'll see what they say he is, but we'll have to get into that, I think.
So I've gotten some messages in my chat recently. Messages that have compared me to a different streamer that you might know.
So, as you guys can see here, right at the bottom, it says Ludwig cloned by Cal. Don't know who that is. Pretty shit profile picture, I'll have to say. Absolute Yeti says, "You're literally a Ludwig clone." And I don't really know what that means, because clones aren't, from my best of knowledge, I don't think clones exist. So, I think that argument is actually invalid, just immediately based off of that. I also don't know to which Ludwig, as it's properly pronounced. I don't really know what he's talking about. He isn't literally something, as you guys can see, he is Cryptonic, so I just think that's just a logical fallacy in itself. I would have to say the profile pictures are getting better, as it's just like a person that's blurry, but I'm gonna have to assume this is our guy here, Absolute Yeti, the one behind the chat message. And hopefully he doesn't mean anything rude by it. Now, there is a person that my camera is blocking, but I don't really feel like moving it, so I'm just going to tell you what's going on. Ludwig did this already 10 minutes ago. Now, that is some dedication, checking your comments pretty quickly, and as you guys can see from the small little screenshot, it is actually a comment and not a chat, so this whole statement that he's made up in his head where he's saying chat did something, it's just wrong. And the Xenon guy, I mean, his profile picture is covered, but it does look like it is artistic and creative, unlike the other two, so maybe he has a little bit more of a higher opinion that is more valid than the others. What I don't like so far is that he put all the comments and little doodads at the bottom, and I'm not really a big fan of that, but we'll have to see where he puts them later in the video. Let's start at the beginning.
So I've gotten some messages in my chat recently. Messages that have compared me to a different streamer that you might know. You may know him as Ludwig, but I know him as the bane of my existence.
So I don't really know him that much. I'd have to say, like, maybe, I mean, based off of the image, let's find it.
That you might know. You may know him as Ludwig.
Let's start at the beginning, just so we have full context.
I've gotten some messages in my chat recently. Messages that have compared me to a different streamer that you might know. You may know him as Ludwig, but I know. So
as you guys can see here, based off of the knowledge of the video, I'd have to assume that this right here is who he's talking about. This is Ludwig, as he calls himself. And I'd have to say this picture is pretty decent. It is actually a better camera than what he's using, which I do have to say does need a little bit of work here. I do see that the background actually improved since the last video, as you know, there's a little bit of little hootenannies around here. You know, you never know what to see. There's a guitar, I'm sure he doesn't play it, and a bunch of cameras. But why, out of all the cameras, did he choose the worst one? Now, that is the new theory that I've just come up with, and I have to say that this is probably one of the best theories that are out there. It is the Cryptonic camera theory. Now, if you don't know of this camera theory, it is actually where Cryptonic uses the worst possible camera that he has to make people think that he's actually poor or doesn't have much, right? That way that they gain sympathy for him, and this is actually a way to gain subscribers and viewers. So this is actually a pretty decent strat. It's a little hard to figure out, but once you know once you've gotten used to the whole scheme, it actually does become pretty clear. So I'm just pointing that out for you guys. Let's get back into the video. So Ludwig here is, he obviously looks a little unkempt, but I could see why you don't want to be referred to as a Ludwig clone, as they say, because they don't really look that much alike, I'd have to say. Based off of this image here, I don't really think that they're related or have any sort of common traits at all. Maybe he's talking about personality. Who's to say here? We will have to watch the rest of the video to find out. So with that in mind, let's start back at the beginning just so we have full context of what's going on.
So I've gotten some messages in my chat recently. Messages that have compared me to a different streamer that you might know. You may know him as Ludwig, but I know him as the bane of my existence. So
now, I don't know what he did there. See, okay, let's go back a little bit. We're not going to go for the full thing because we don't need that. So, as you see here, he's smiling, and I don't know how he did this, but he basically zoomed it in, right? And he actually got rid of his smile. So, I don't know if he like, told Ludwig, hey, we need you to take 2 pictures, one of you smiling and one of you not, because it just sounds like a weird thing to do. What I do have to say is that he is in the same position, so this could just be an edit. It is, from what I can tell, a very good edit, because I can't really see any parts where it looks like it was photoshopped in. So this could possibly be the first option, but there is always a second one, just in case my eyes aren't keen to this whole Photoshop thing going around his mouth here. And I think his eyebrows change. But that aside, let's get on to the video.
Of my existence. So I'll be honest, I am a Ludwig viewer, and I definitely did take some inspiration from him in my earlier videos. I mean, take a look at one of my old thumbnails compared.
Now, this is actually one of the videos that we watched, which is kind of funny because we just reacted to it, and it's going to be up as soon as this video is up. I do have to thank all of the commenters and viewers telling me that my camera wasn't working or my mic wasn't working or whatever it was. I don't really care. So I barely changed anything, and I hope that you're glad. At least now you could probably hear me throughout the parts where I don't have it on full screen. But thank you very much for the people who requested that I changed it. So thank you very much. Let's get on with the video. As you guys can see here, this is Ludwig. He made an Among Us video, which was a pretty popular game at the time. And then he made a video about Among Us. Now, I wouldn't really necessarily say that this is copying or cloning, as he puts it. But I would have to say it is kind of weird how they have the same sort of thumbnail style, maybe even the same title style, and even down to how Ludwig right here, as you guys can see, has chapters in his videos, and even Cryptonic has chapters in his videos. For some reason, it's not showing Ludwig's sub count, but it is good to know that at the time, Cryptonic, who now has, let's see real quick, 738 subscribers, went from 501 to 738. Now, if that's not impressive, I don't know what is, but at least he is growing. So let's go on with the video, and let's just start it at the beginning just so we have full context.
So I've gotten some messages in my chat recently. Messages that have compared me to a different streamer that you might know. You may know him as Ludwig, but I know him as the bane of my existence. So I'll be honest, I am a Ludwig viewer, and I definitely did take some inspiration from him in my earlier videos. I mean, take a look at one of my old thumbnails compared to his. It's pretty shameless. But I'm a changed man. I'm my own person now. Like, look at this thumbnail compared to his.
Okay, I think that he's actually trying to attempt a joke here. If you guys don't understand it, let me explain. Basically what he's saying is that he's changed a lot, right? And you'd expect to see like something with similar style or similar type video, but like completely different like unique his way of doing it, like thumbnail and title. And in this one he kind of just compared thumbnail and title to just thumbnail, which I don't think is actually a fair comparison. I have to say you do a little bit better at the comparisons, because you actually need to compare both just so they know that you're not copying completely the title. The joke here is that lies here is that it's actually basically the same thumbnail, just replaced with him. Now it is done worse, as you guys can see here. The lighting is horrible. The colors kind of pop out in this artificial way where there's a white background on a pretty decently white background, I'd have to say. The colors are on both thumbnails are actually pretty bright, so I would have to say this is a pretty good joke just because of how similar it is. The only main difference is that the person holding the card is different, and the card on Ludwig's video is on the right, but on Cryptonic's video it's actually on the left, which is actually kind of smart because it's kind of like he's mirroring him in a way where it's basically like saying like, I'm you, but I'm like slightly different you know, like. So I think that was actually a pretty decent joke, I'd have to say, and kind of hard to see, but it's okay. I'm able to help you out there with that. So let's just get on to the video.
Okay, maybe a different one. Maybe not that one either. Okay, look, my point.
Okay, as you guys could see here, he kind of runs on with the joke a little too far. As you guys could have seen, the first one was pretty decent enough, but once it goes from like kind of small and kind of not hard to see, kind of hard to see, you know, and easy to miss, if I if I would say myself. I would have to say that the constant throwing the joke in your face kind of muddles it a little bit, you know, kind of drags it a little bit, and you don't want that because it kind of makes the joke a little unfunny. Maybe you can get a smile out of somebody, but with that type of delivery, I would have to say, is this probably like a 5 out of 10 joke, honestly. Like, it could have been done better. Maybe it could have gotten a laugh out of somebody just because of how subtle and nice it is. But, I mean, when you drag it through the mud like that, it just kind of ruins it a little bit. So I would have to say you do have to work on your jokes a little bit. And I do hope to see that once we watch one of your more recent videos. Because, as you guys know, this is actually 1 hour, 1 year ago long. So if you guys don't know, that basically means that it was like a long time ago, right? So hopefully whenever we watch the other ones, it will get better as time goes on, you know what I mean? Alright, let's get back into the reaction.
The point isn't that I'm completely different.
Let's go back just a little bit for context.
Compared to his. Okay, maybe a different one. Maybe not that one either. Okay, look, my point isn't that I'm completely different from Ludwig. My point is that I think I've As you guys see there, if you're making a video, you don't really want to add in your stutters. You do have time to edit the videos. You can edit them out. You don't really want them to see that you're stuttering and stuff like that. Kind of portrays you as a weak, feeble little guy, okay? And you don't want to be seen as that. So my recommendation is when you're going through the editing, you gotta catch those, man. Because if you don't catch those, it kind of portrays you as someone who's not really there that much, you know, in your head. You don't want to be seen as crazy or insane. Thankfully, he does find his words a little bit longer into the video, as we've kind of gotten a glimpse of, but just in case, let's watch that part of the video just so we can make sure that I am correct here. My point is that I think I've differentiated myself from his style of video enough to...
As you guys could see there, he did fix it, but I think he shouldn't have cut it there, and in fact just took in that entire part out. I don't really see what the point of keeping it in was, but hopefully he fixes it in his later videos, because as you guys know, this is actually a year ago long. So basically that means that it was made a long time ago. He's probably improved since then, since, you know, all that time to improve, right? So hopefully we see better creation art in the future, but for right now, as we're seeing right here, this isn't really the best, but, you know, we can still roll with it.
Where I wouldn't be called a Ludwig clone. But alas, here we are. And I get it, there are some similarities. Like maybe the fact that I moved to YouTube a couple weeks after he did. And sure, maybe I stream some of the same music he does. And maybe even my camera border looks a little bit familiar. But these are...
Now, let's be honest here. I wouldn't really say that these are definite copies from him to the person that he calls Ludwig, right? I don't really know how popular or famous this guy is, but maybe if he was huge, it might have gave off this sort of like copy the best, you know, sort of mentality from everybody. So basically, what I want to say is I think that based off of this, he just probably has a bunch of coincidences that have basically no correlation to little correlation with actually what Ludwig is doing. It's just people point it out, and it kind of makes him seem like he is copying. But I would have to say, for argument's sake, let's say that Cryptonic was actually trying to move to YouTube, as he said, and maybe he had a reason, and it wasn't just because Ludwig did it. Maybe it was because he thought he could find better potential on YouTube. Now, that is a possibility, but I don't think that the viewers are going to be smart like me and actually figure out that kind of strategy. Because usually what people like to do is they just like to go off of see, no thought, you know? Like, I see that this guy does this, and then this person does this, and there is no really thought for or any reason behind why that other person must have done it. They just see that one person did it, so that means that the other person is following. And I gotta say, that's kind of disingenuous and kind of rude. I would, if it were me personally, I would like other people to see my side of the story, really. I think that what we've seen here so far is that it kind of seems a little genuine. Wouldn't you say? Because it's just like the way he's saying it, the way he lays it out, maybe he's going to come up with a little bit of a comeback, but we'll have to see here real quick. This is a short video, so I do have to thank you very much on the consistency of being able to entertain me. The constant talking is actually something I like a lot, because it allows me to figure out more into your psyche, you know, figure out more into your mind, and we really want to analyze what you're doing in this video and why you're doing it, and what has to do with the thumbnail or the weird glitch with my mic there, of the thumbnail and the title. As you can see here, it says "Stop calling me a Ludwig clone," and basically what we've gotten through this so far is that everybody's calling him a Ludwig clone, and we haven't really got to see why he's not. We just heard a little bit of why he thinks he's not. So let's get into this video a little bit deeper, and let's see why people are saying that. And well, actually, we kind of figured that out already. We just laid it out. Now we got to figure out why he's not, as it says in the title. Stop calling me a Ludwig clone. Let's watch the video.
And maybe even my camera border looks a little bit familiar. But these are business decisions. I would never blindly follow the lead of my favorite streamer, even if it made my content bad. These things just happened.
It's not really looking too good for Cryptonic here. As you guys can see, he's kind of going on with this joke of he's saying that he's not doing something, but on the screen it shows visually. I don't know if it's easy for you guys to see. I'll just cut it back a little bit just so you guys can see. He's showing off. It's kind of hard to see because it's not in full opacity, which basically means how visible it is, how faded in and out it is. Basically, as you guys can see here, as it's laid across, there is thumbnails that he's made, and I'm guessing that some of these are Ludwig videos, so it makes the joke funnier. But me personally, I've never seen Cryptonic's or Ludwig's video, might I add. So I don't really understand the joke too much, but I do understand that it is a joke and is supposed to be taken lightly and for funny laugh, haha, okay? So let's not take it too seriously, but as an argument that he's bringing up so far, it doesn't look too good with him, because it's kind of portraying him as a being disingenuous, and it's kind of saying like, hey guys, I am not a Ludwig clone, but then shows off that he is actually in fact copying somebody, which the viewers, as we've seen at the very beginning of the video, they just discern that as being called a clone, where you're cloning somebody, where you're being a clone of somebody, and clearly that's a negative negation, so you don't really want that. I'd say his best argument so far is just kind of like point out that he's joking, or actually come up with a valid argument. But as it's looking so far, it doesn't look too good for Cryptonic, man. And I'm a big fan, so this kind of hurts to see, you know.
Things just happen to be very good practices while streaming. Also, can we be honest? I don't even act like Ludwig. Ludwig is an active, entertaining streamer, and I am not. Not to mention my...
Okay, let's be honest here. Honestly, that kind of line delivery, not only was it a good joke, but it also kind of showed that there is a couple differences between them, because as you guys can see throughout this video, he's actually pointing out the similarities, might I add, but what we haven't really thought about or gotten to think about in this video is that actually what are the not similarities, what are the differences, would you say? I would say. So basically what he's doing right now is pointing out the differences and why they're different, and you know, like why they couldn't be the same, or why he's not a clone, as people keep calling him. So I just gotta say that's actually pretty smart, because you're also lining it up with a decent joke. That joke being that basically he's saying that he isn't active, he doesn't put in enough hard work as Ludwig, which is kind of funny, because as you guys can see, it's not really consistent with the uploads, but it is good content nonetheless. So I would have to say they come at YouTube from a different angle, one with more quality, and one with more quantity. And I would have to say that those are kind of like opposites, wouldn't you say? Because one's dealing with more slow but good, and one's dealing with more fast but bad, you know? And I do have to say, after a couple videos that I'm looking at through these thumbnails here of Ludwig, I don't think I would like him. I think he'd actually be pretty cringe. But what I do have to say here is the way that Cryptonic's laying out these jokes, I would have to see is that he's actually kind of funny guy, you know, and kind of comes up with his own original content. So with that being said, I think we'd have to get back into the video, see what's going on.
Editing style is completely different from that of Shakes, Drizzles, or Polites. Now, I know you're probably...
I don't really know what he's saying here. I didn't listen to a word he just said, but let's go on with the video. I'd have to say that was kind of confusing, and if I were him, I would have explained it better for viewers who don't know what he's talking about. But you know, as the time is, I would have to say that was pretty decent line delivery. If I didn't at least understand what he was saying, I do understand how he said it, and that was actually pretty decent line delivery, I'd have to say. It just sounds like he's getting used to this whole YouTube thing, and hopefully that improves over time, because as you guys can tell, there is still a little bit more improvement needed. For instance, the lighting on his camera. He doesn't have any lighting, and it's actually kind of bad and muffled, but as we've already gone through at the beginning, this is actually a strategy he implies to his videos, so people actually subscribe and watch him more just because they feel bad, kind of like pity points, you know. Let's go on with the video. I want to see what else he has to say about this whole allegations of him being a Ludwig clone, which basically means that he is copying Ludwig, as the viewers deem.
We're gonna look at my recent videos and be like, "Oh, Cryptonic, you stole Ludwig's idea." No, I didn't. I stole Miskif's idea.
Okay, now the joke is that actually he is not a Ludwig clone. This is actually sort of a joke, sort of being the truth here, because as you guys can see, Cryptonic's actually a very truthful person. He actually just tells you straight up what's going on. When he says that he's not copying Ludwig, that implies that he is not being a clone of Ludwig, as the video states to stop calling him a Ludwig clone. This is actually something that the viewers have told him that he is a Ludwig clone, and he doesn't want to be labeled as that, as that is actually a negative connotation, and he wants to fix this. But the way he fixes it is actually sort of a good ending and sort of a bad ending. I'd have to say it's a bittersweet ending, because as you guys can see here, he is not actually copying Ludwig, as he said. He's actually copying Miskif, and that's not really a good idea. I'd have to say you gotta be original, or else people aren't gonna watch you. And if they see too many similarities, people are just gonna think only negative options. So I would have to say maybe add a little bit more nuance and new idea into it, and put your own spin on things. You know, this is how you get like 1 million subs. That's me. I have. So you want to fix that. ultimately and figure out what's going on in the YouTube space and how can you add to it. You know, you don't want to just take something that someone else made and only do that. If you're going to do that, you have to make it transformative, just like me here with my reaction video, and you're going to want to make sure that you're adding to it, you know, because that's basically what that means, is you're adding to something that was already a thing. That way you don't have to deal with the repercussions of copying or cheating, you know what I mean? So let's get on with the video. With that being said, this is clearly a copy of Ms. Kiff, as he said, and not Ludwig.
And then Ludwig stole it after I did. And I have proof of that. January 26th, I posted this message in a Discord server. And that was a list of all the things that...
Now, I don't want to really read all of that, but what I do have to say is that the way he's coming at this, it sounds very sure, very, very true to his word, and I am starting to believe that even without the evidence, I could probably believe him. I don't really need him yapping and blabbering on about something that basically all the viewers already know and don't want to hear about. Just cut it down real quickly. I'm just going to skip ahead just so you guys don't have to see.
He's actually a clone of me. And I don't even think that Ludwig likes me. So
now, the joke here is that he is saying basically that Ludwig, he isn't a clone of Ludwig. It's actually kind of funny because it's like the opposite, right? So Ludwig is actually cloning Cryptonic, but I don't really believe that someone who of this big stature, as he proclaims, or at least it hints to, you know, I would have to say that, like, I don't know if you would be able to know him just because of how many low subscribers and view count he gets on his videos. So I'd have to say, like, that's kind of like rude to say and kind of just misinformation because we don't actually know if that's the truth. As you guys could see there, he put evidence for why he is copying Miskiv and not Ludwig, but he didn't actually put any evidence that Ludwig is actually copying him. And I gotta say, that's kind of rude, man. Like, I thought of you better, but this kind of like tainted my views on you just a little bit. So let's go ahead with the video. I'd have to say, so far he's actually presenting a pretty good argument.
Actually, clone of me. And I don't even think that Ludwig likes me.
Now, like I said before, I don't really know if he knows Ludwig or if they know each other at all. He's trying to make it seem like as if he does, which that would be cool, but we need to see him in the room in order for us to know this for sure. Because obviously if they did a collab of some sort, that would mean that they were friends and know each other. But it kind of seems a little too parasocial here, as he's saying that he is actually doesn't like him, and I think that's just a little bit in his head because obviously, even though he might be tier 3 sub on both Twitch and YouTube, as now he has stated earlier in the video that he actually moved to YouTube, and so did Cryptonic. A little bit of lore there, but I'd have to say that basically, like, just because he gives him money doesn't really mean that they're friends, and hopefully that the viewers don't get caught in this kind of idea of, like, if you give Cryptonic money, for instance, you're not automatically his friend, and he doesn't really want to be associated with you, but he does thank you for the money, and I think that's actually what he's going with here. It's actually kind of a pretty subtle little message that he's actually bringing into this very well written, I'm assuming, like, script, maybe, because it just kind of seems like, other than the stutter that he accidentally left in, it actually seems well put together and a pretty valid argument, I'd have to say. So with that being said, let's get back into the video.
So you might be asking, how would Ludwig not like him? He probably doesn't even know who you are. Well, a while ago, I posted on Ludwig's Reddit with this game. And out of...
Okay, as you guys saw there was actually a subtle little joke there. If you paused it on the right frame, there was actually a little bit of an edit on his face, but that's besides the point. We don't need to go and find it. What I do have to say is that he's actually countering one of my arguments that I said about him probably coming off as parasocial. This way he can actually still go off with his little subtle wording there, in which he doesn't want his viewers to give him money and think that they're friends, but also it is also saying that he is in fact knows him and probably doesn't like him just based off of what we're given so far. I don't really know what it was, but maybe it was something. So I'd have to say thank you very much for clearing that up, and I'd like to see where this goes with next.
All the comments he could have read, he picked the one where I said that his thumbnails felt a little low effort.
Come on, Lud. No, you can't. There's subtle differences. there's subtle differences amongst all of them. You can't appreciate the subtle differences when you're too deep into it. Hey, to be fair, it is a good face. It's a good face. He do be laughing pretty hard.
Well, guys, I don't want to be the pauser guy, but I think I just saw a message from Cryptonic in his chat. Actually, is where I was looking. I think he has a red name as, yep, it says me right there, and with a smiley face. This actually shows off that he was actually in the chat watching this, which probably made him feel a little bit personally attacked. As you guys can see here, this post was actually made by him. Apparently, Cryptonic is a Redditor, and we don't really like to see that. That actually has negative connotation in itself. But I'd have to say that I guess he made all of these little thumbnails, as he calls them, because they aren't really well that made. Maybe there was needed a little bit of work, and he wasn't really necessarily saying that he hates Cryptonic and thinks that he sucks and stuff like that. I think he was just saying that he needs a little bit of work. But he was complimenting that he thinks that he chose the best face, because that is a pretty good face, as he says. And I do have to agree with him. That face is actually very nice and clickable. A little soy, but I would have to say that that was actually a pretty decent commentary choice by Ludwig.
When you make a good reaction face, you got to get some mileage. That's what I'm saying. You make a good face, you get some mileage out of it. It's not really clickbaity, it just feels low effort to reuse a face 10 times.
And I'll be honest, I probably could have...
He actually read one of his messages, and that's probably really means a lot to Cryptonic here, as he probably looks up to Ludwig, as we're seeing here. Let's go on with the video.
Found a better word, but I typed that comment in like 10 seconds, and he read it and immediately disputed it.
Do you know why Ludwig stopped making a new face for every video? Here you go. Holy shit.
As you guys can see here, he didn't really talk about it just like immediately and dispute it, as Cryptonic says, but I think what he's trying to get at is kind of like a little bit of hyperbolic wording, because maybe after this little joke here, as you guys can see here, it is very much looking like Beast Reacts thumbnail, which, as you guys can see, the joke here is that almost every thumbnail looks the same, with the same reaction being on the right side, which is kind of the joke that he was doing in the post on Reddit, as I'd have to say. So let's go on with the video.
Wait, is this my alt account? What's going on here? It's actually even less interesting than that. The reason I will sometimes use a different face is because I will make a thumbnail on a different computer, or one of my editors will make a thumbnail, and if I'm not at my stream setup, I have no way to capture my face, and so I will just reuse a face from a different thumbnail. That's the only reason. So, like, all the ones with TikTok in it, Polite made the thumbnail, and so he pulled a face from a different thumbnail.
Look, all I'm saying...
He kind of just got owned there, honestly. I'd have to say, like, Cryptonic, he kind of came in with, like, zero information, kind of made assumptions, just like his viewers are doing about him being a clone. And I have to say, this is actually kind of subtle little wording here, as he says, it wasn't immediate, but the way he responded to his accusation is actually kind of a little... very nice to hear, because it actually puts a little bit more light on the reasons why he did something like this. And I do have to say that I do have a positive opinion about Ludwig after this video. Not really too positive. I do think that he is still probably cringe and probably a little soy, but that's okay, because he actually brings up pretty good points here against Cryptonic, but we're gonna have to see what he has to say about those points.
Is that intentionally or not, there are some similarities between Ludwig and I's content. But what do I need to do to prove that I'm not a Ludwig clone? I mean, I could make like an original video idea. No. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna look at the intro to Ludwig's latest video and see if I can replicate it, just to prove how like bad of a job.
Okay, me personally, I'm gonna have to say I don't really want to watch any of this, but that being said, I will go to the bathroom, and when I'm back, hopefully the video is done, and then I'll just stop the recording right there. So if you made it this far, please enjoy the rest of the video. I'm going to play it out, just so you guys know, and then I'm going to go to the bathroom. So you guys have fun with this little joke that he's probably going to pull off, because I think that he's actually reached a conclusion fairly into the video. There is still a minute and 20 seconds left, but I do have to say that this was actually a very well-rounded video. It actually came together full circle at the end, kind of proved his point a little bit that he isn't a Ludwig clone, and kind of disproved the kind of accusations that were kind of made against him. So I do have to say this is actually a pretty well put together video, but I don't really want to see this joke because it's kind of cringe and old, and I don't really want to see it, so you guys have fun.
So that you can see that I'm not a clone. Okay, let's take a look.
Boys, today we are doing what might be a subathon 2. We are playing...
Okay. Let me try that. Boys! Oh no. Okay, I think that's enough of me trying to prove myself. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you guys think that I'm a Ludwig clone? I hope not. Leave a comment of what you think, and maybe subscribe while you're down there. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave you with one little clip.
Alright, very interesting.
My balls itch. Wow. Fun fact, during World War II, the British...
Wow. Wow, my balls itch. Wow.
Yo, what up? It do be Thursday.
That's so true.
Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell. This video fucking sucked, and we'll catch you in the next one.